Okay, so I want to focus on one of the main categories of drugs called stimulants. So the title of this paper, which would be a separate lined paper, or if you want, you can add these notes if you write small to this concept map that we did on the different categories of drugs in the previous lesson. So we're going to have a lesson on each of these categories. We're going to focus on stimulants. I'm going to use a separate sheet of paper, but you can use a space around here if you wish. Okay, so I'm going to title this Stimulants. And that is commonly known as your uppers. They're going to elevate everything. Your heart rate, your breathing rate, your mood. All right, so uppers. Let's see, so some drugs in this category. The most dangerous one would be cocaine. And in a pure form, you have crack cocaine. You have meth. You have your prescriptions that you get for ADD, Ritalin, and Adderall. So I'm going to show you guys a video about Adderall, and then we'll get back into these notes.
It can make you happy, suppress your appetite, reduce fatigue, increase your attention span, and is used to treat narcolepsy, depression, and ADHD. What magical substance does all this? Adderall. Over 25 million people worldwide use amphetamine, which is the active ingredient in Adderall. Amphetamine has been around since the 1800s and has a pretty neat history. First synthesized in 1887 by Romanian chemist Lazar Adelano, amphetamine appeared on the market in 1933 under the name Benzedrine, or Bennies for short. In 1943, the U.S. Army began issuing pep pills to fight battle fatigue and boost morale. These pep pills were pure amphetamine, which is a stimulant. By the end of World War II, American and British troops had shipped an estimated 150 million of these pills. Japanese and German troops also used these pep pills, and Hitler would get daily injections of amphetamine. American troops continued using amphetamine well into the Korean and Vietnam Wars, but stopped once the drug was no longer sold over the counter in 1956. Because, unrestricted access to pure amphetamine is probably not a good idea. Today, amphetamine is used in low doses primarily to treat... Wait, what? Oh, right. Used to treat ADHD. The majority of ADHD drugs stimulate the central nervous system. You'd think it wouldn't make sense to treat hyperactivity and lack of focus by adding stimulation, but we'll let neuroscience expert Dr. Ryan Davison explain.
People with ADHD tend to have lower levels of dopamine, a key chemical in the brain's reward center. This lack of dopamine means people with ADHD are constantly seeking stimulation. Amphetamines stimulate the release of dopamine and other neurotransmitters in the brain, so those minor distractions don't cause you to lose focus.
Nerve cells and neurotransmitters act like they're at a middle school dance. Neurotransmitters like dopamine are on one side of the gym and receptor cells sit on the other. Amphetamine starts the party by pushing dopamine out into the dance floor, where they then partner up with the receptors. Amphetamine also keeps dopamine on the dance floor, leaving more for the receptors to catch. So before we go, here's Dr. Davison with another fun fact that shows why little tweaks in structure can make for big changes.
Here's what a molecule of amphetamine looks like. This little guy is a group of a carbon and 3 hydrogen atoms, also called a methyl group. If you add one more methyl group onto the end of an amphetamine molecule, it turns into its much more dangerous cousin, methamphetamine. These 4 little atoms can turn you from a studious citizen into a total tweaker.
So while you're still focused, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out some of our other videos on how caffeine works and learn all about marijuana.
Okay, so let's go back to this document. And we'll add in here, you have meth, which is a derivative of this main category of stimulants called amphetamines. So meth is short for methamphetamine, but you just use the word amphetamine, and you have many different types of drugs that are used to treat many different problems. So let's just go over general signs that someone's using these drugs. So this will be general symptoms of stimulant use. The main one will be increase, actually I'll just say this plainly, it's going to be increased everything. So it's going to increase, because it's an upper, start with the dangerous ones, your heart rate. I don't know if you've ever had too much caffeine and you just get jittery. It's kind of like that, but times 10. Your breathing rate goes up. But it's also going to help increase your mood. You're also going to have decreased appetite, which that's why sometimes amphetamines are given to people who are morbidly obese. And I'm going to put over here with the increases, heart rate, breathing rate, mood, is also going to increase someone's focusing abilities. You're going to have a decreased appetite. So those are the main symptoms that someone is going to experience when they are using a stimulant. So the last thing for stimulants is going to be down here. This is going to be amphetamine uses. What are some medical uses of amphetamines? Well, sometimes people have a very interesting condition where they fall asleep randomly, not by choice. It's called narcolepsy. Look it up. It's very interesting. They would use a stimulant to help the person to stay awake. The next condition would be someone who has attention deficit disorder. This would be where they would get Ritalin or Adderall. So I'll just put that on here. This would be Ritalin. This is prescribed by a doctor, or Adderall. And that would help them to focus because they're getting their own natural dopamine. They don't have to seek other stimuli to get that dopamine, so they can focus on whatever they're working on without that need for dopamine because they're getting it in their current circumstance. So you have ADD. You also have it used for soldiers. Not anymore, but they used to sell it over the counter. They're called pet pills. They help boost morale, help give the soldiers the energy that they need, possibly for frontline combat. Sometimes they are prescribed for weight loss. They open up air tubes, so sometimes they're prescribed for asthma. And because they do affect dopamine levels, sometimes they'll use amphetamines to help treat someone that has Parkinson's disease. Because they lack dopamine in those muscle control regions, that's why they get those tremors. Parkinson's disease. But as we know, amphetamines have an evil twin called methamphetamine. So I'm going to show you guys a video about meth. In my opinion, this is not in the curriculum. I think meth takes away the physical beauty of a user more than any other drug. You get the pick marks on your face because you think bugs are crawling under your skin. You get meth mouth because you have that dissolved calcium in your teeth. Let's just look that up. Meth mouth. This is not rotten teeth. This is people's teeth being eroded and the calcium deposits are becoming obvious. So I'm going to show you guys a video, and this is how we'll end stimulants on methamphetamines.
Three people tormented by an unstoppable addiction. Their struggle so severe it seeps through their skin, transforming their faces in just a matter of months. We're talking meth.
It's an addiction all too common, and its effects are detrimental. Brandon Rudat is live in Hollywood with the shocking images. Brandon?
Yeah, guys, what a lot of people don't realize, experts say that crystal methamphetamine is actually more addictive than the drug heroin. Now, one of the most popular stories on our website right now, it is called The Faces of Meth. It is dramatic pictures of drug users before and after their drug binge. Crystal methamphetamine, a drug so powerful it will trick, addict, and seduce you into thinking you can do or be anything you want.
Just a couple of doses. They crave it, and then they become dependent on it.
Psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Clevens has researched crystal meth users and its potentially deadly and damaging effects on users. These are dramatic before and after photos of meth users. Some look like the girl next door, but after years of abuse, the addict is almost unrecognizable.
Causes people to scratch their skin because they feel like things are crawling, and this is where you see sometimes sores and excoriations over their body.
And in some cases, the before and after photos are shocking.
Crystal meth is an extremely dangerous substance because it's highly addictive and people can become addicted to it really quickly.
Signs of beginning users is weight loss, personality change. This addict looks healthy in this police photo, but clearly looks emaciated after 4 years of meth addiction. The drug is described as the devil, a drug you can snort, smoke, even shoot up for that ultimate high.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Dramatic PSA commercials target teens. Experts say, though, that there's a concern in the gay community as well. Studies show that there's a rising number of gay men using crystal meth, and it's leading to an increased risk of HIV infection.
It impairs judgment, and it encourages them for risk-taking behaviors. If judgment is gone, so safe sex is out the window. Shared needles run the risks of HIV infection.
Studies also show that $7 billion is lost in the workplace every year, just in California alone, with users calling out sick after going on a meth binge. And while these before and after photos are dramatic, they send a strong message. Meth is the beginning of the end.
People can go for days without sleep, and yet they seem somehow energized, and then they'll crash and sleep for a couple of days. Very unusual behavior.
And don't forget, you can always log on to our website right now. You can see all of the faces of meth. They are dramatic pictures. Also on our website, we have sources for you or for any of your friends who may be addicted to crystal methamphetamine. That is the very latest. We're live here in Hollywood. Guys, we'll send it back to you in the studio.